Okay, what's the topic for the video today?
De-Extinction. So taking something that's dead, that's extinct, and making it not extinct anymore.
De-Extinction.
De-Extinction. There's a couple other terms for it, but I like that one. It's nice and straightforward. So it's sort of been up in the news recently because recently mammoths in Siberia in the permafrost, they've basically managed to grab DNA from those mammoths. They've mapped the genome for the mammoth. So now they reckon they could potentially create the beginnings of a new line of mammoths to reintroduce to Russia, which would be really cool. But there's a lot of discussion about what this means. Is it a good thing? Do we really need to? Is it just going to be for shits and giggles? Why are we actually bothering to even look into this? So that's what we're going to discuss.
Well, first of all, scientifically, bringing back mammoths would be pretty friggin' awesome.
That would be awesome, yeah.
We do have evidence, we do know what they look like. We have hair and tissue samples. We have basically completely preserved mammoths, which we've dug out of the ice. But taking it one step further would be pretty amazing. To have a living thing, to be able to study its behaviour. You maybe wouldn't get its 100% natural behaviour, bringing it up in captivity and so on, but you'd pretty much get it,
Well, that's one of the things about de-extinction that we're going to talk about. So just to basically give you an idea of how they want to do it, they want to take the DNA, the information about woolly mammoths, they want to put it into an embryo of an Asian elephant. The Asian elephant is the closest living relative to woolly mammoths currently still alive. They want to bring it to term, and eventually, as time goes on, they're going to breed this new elephant, this hybrid of a woolly mammoth and an Asian elephant, and breeding those traits that make a woolly mammoth. So eventually they end up with something that looks pretty much exactly the same as a woolly mammoth, but it's still going to be a little bit Asian elephant. You'll never be able to get a fully 100% genetically the same woolly mammoth as it used to be. And as already pointed out as well, we will never really know what their behaviours were. We won't know if they will act the exact same way as woolly mammoths did because we haven't got that anymore. We don't know how they behaved.
Yeah, they're not living in their natural environments. But whenever an animal is introduced to a new environment, it'll adapt. We could put it in plains areas and get them grazing and stuff. I'm sure they'd start picking up pretty. They'd act pretty much like they used to.
I'm sure they get the idea. And I think the woolly mammoth, the reason that this has really been chosen, because there's been other situations recently, like with the Pyrenean ibex, where they've talked about cloning these things back. The reason that the woolly mammoth has really picked up people's imaginations because it's this massive, impressive creature that we just don't see anywhere, anything like it in the world. Even we have elephants, sure, but we don't have elephants that were bigger and hairy with small ears that lived in Arctic regions. We just don't see that at all. It's been, about 8,000 years, which is geologically speaking, piss all time. But in our living memory and recorded memory, we have not seen a woolly mammoth. So it'd just be really interesting to see that. Whereas, for example, they're talking about bringing back the Pyrenean ibex that I mentioned before, which is basically a wild goat in Spain. And they've tried to. They actually got pretty far with it. Basically, what they want to do, they want to go for the mammoth instead because it's more impressive. A wild goat from Spain, kind of cool, I guess, but it's just a goat. So, but a mammoth, that's awesome.
That's like it's if you're talking about ancient megafauna, that is
catches your imagination.
That's one of the first things you think of.
Is mammoths, yeah, exactly right. And then maybe save it to cats and stuff. And one of the great things about woolly mammoths is that we have a close relative that we could potentially bring to term with a calf, a hybrid calf, and that's one of the challenges of de-extinction at the moment. So it's pretty much never going to happen that we bring back things as old as, say, dinosaurs, because you can't get that same genetic information as accurately and as undamaged as you can from, say, a mammoth carcass frozen in permafrost. Dinosaur DNA basically doesn't exist anymore. There are some small examples of fossilized DNA.
For all intents and purposes, DNA breaks down over the longer period of time. The less viable DNA you have, of course, and it lasts a surprising amount of time. You can get you can look at someone's DNA from thousands of years ago and have a decent look at their genes, even if you couldn't. You don't have enough DNA to bring them back 100%.
Yeah.
But as far as dinosaurs go, There's no chance.
Yeah, so it's although, and this is something else to do with de-extinction as well. Scientists are looking at ways of basically reversing evolution a bit. So obviously with dinosaurs, we haven't got DNA anymore. It's pretty much a no-go zone. We won't be able to, take blood from a mosquito inside amber like they do in Jurassic Park.
Unfortunately, it makes me so sad.
As cool as that fucking is, it will never happen. But what they're looking at doing, and they've actually done some tests with this with chicken embryos, is that they can block particular enzymes and proteins that help in development of these chicks, that basically make them grow beaks. So what they do is they block these proteins and enzymes and stuff. And instead of growing beaks, they started growing snouts, and they grew saber-like conical teeth instead of beaks.
And also the structure of the roof of the mouth, all these weird things started happening. I think skin started growing over towards the end of it.
Yeah.
Like you just disable a couple of these genes, you switch them off, and all this old stuff just starts growing back.
It's turning this bird. Birds that are extremely very evolved dinosaurs. So they've evolved down a very particular path. They have beaks and feathers. Most of them can fly, etc., etc. So what they're trying to do is regress them back a bit and bring back those attributes they had way millions of years ago. Extremely difficult. I mean, none of these embryos that they tampered with came to term or anything, so we don't have chickens walking around with teeth yet. But this is what they're looking into.
Those researchers weren't actually trying to bring back... They weren't trying to bring live chickens up which had, mouthy bits instead of beaky bits.
Yeah. So, and even if we did do that, they wouldn't really be dinosaurs. They'd just be birds with dinosaur-like traits, so like with teeth and maybe tails and things. We'd never really be able to say make a velociraptor out of a bird. That would never happen.
There's also the thing like that. Birds still have genes for teeth in their genome, but it's so old, it's so ancient, and mutation happens to genes which are not only being used, but ones which are sort of dormant. They're also mutating and slowly changing, so you get these wonky, weird teeth. They're not like perfect dinosaur teeth or something that are going to pop out of a chicken. That's just not going to happen. So you're never going to get a real dinosaur-looking living thing, or it's going to be very hard to do anyway.
Yeah, it'd be something completely different. This is what we've come to. So basically, there's this chance of us bringing something back, but the real question is, should we bother? Should it be done? I mean, from a cool factor, from an oddity point of view,
from a scientific interest point of view.
Yeah, from that, I reckon hell yes, do it. I'd love to see a woolly mammoth. That'd be amazing. Imagine herds of them, just grazing across the Siberian plains, and it'd actually change the environment back to what it used to be back when they were around, because the environment has changed since they've been gone. They've been on a fairly long while now. But do we need to bring them back? So most people, what a lot of people say is that instead of focusing on bringing back extinct animals that have been gone for so long, their ecological niche is basically gone. Why not focus on conservation? Why not focus on keeping animals that are currently going extinct, like the western black rhino that recently went extinct completely?
Yeah. Why
not focus their efforts on keep bringing those?
I find that kind of a bit of a specious argument. It's not either or. Just because you work on saving children doesn't mean you can't save a forest in this area. Just because you're building roads here doesn't mean you shouldn't spend money on...
yeah, and I think you could probably use...
It's not either or.
That's right. You could probably use techniques and data that you find from cloning extinct animals that would actually help bring back close to extinction or extremely endangered animals. So it might be able to, for example, if there's only quite a very few of them left, genetic variance is extremely important. You don't want to have inbreeding too much because it fucks shit up. So what if you then made some hybrid animals with another species that was closely related and then bred them back into the population to help with genetic diversity? So there's things that could really help that coming from the extinction that could help with conservation.
Let alone just scientific research in general. No matter how pointless it might seem, they might be trying to bring back the dodo or whatever, or the thylacine, and find a cure for cancer in the middle of it. Like, you never know what you're going to discover.
That's right.
So
and then when they use that cure for cancer on people, they turn into thylacine people. There's a horror movie there, right for you guys.
Then this is what we have to do. This has to be done.
That's right. But
ethically, I don't have any issues with bringing back animals. We meddle with things so much. We mess with animals. We send so many things extinct and destroy so much habitat. We're completely changing the world. I really don't see the harm if we have one animal in a lab somewhere, which didn't exist, which went extinct a long time ago. Why not? And I don't really have a problem with introducing extinct animals, like the thylacine, for example. I would have no issue with reintroducing the thylacine back into Tasmania.
I would love to see a thylacine. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
You know, they're ridiculous.
I mean,
yeah, anyway.
Just one thing. Seriously, if you have a problem with bringing back the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger to Tasmania, why aren't you down there with machine guns exterminating all the pests, or why aren't people so angry about foxes? Why aren't people angry about rabbits in Australia and feral cats and feral dogs? Like Tinkerbell here, if she went feral, she'd be out killing little native birds and so on.
She's probably killed many already.
Yet you talk about bringing back the Tasmanian tiger, such an iconic animal, and people lose their minds. I don't get it. Anyway.
Well, there's always that danger that there's the other argument against it, is that it's dangerous. Am I bringing back an animal that could kill people? Absolute bullshit. Come on. I mean, we got guns. We've been dealing with dangerous animals our entire existence, human beings, and we managed to deal with them back when they were still around with very little technological advancement, with sticks and stones, basically. We were taking these motherfuckers on and beating them.
Yeah, but I mean,
it wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't be an issue. We wouldn't have like mutant thylacines running around killing everyone, for example, or mammoths, laying waste to cities and shit. That would never happen.
Let alone the theological discussions of playing God and stuff, which we're not even going to touch. We won't even get into that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So there's lots of arguments for and against. I'm generally for it. I think it makes sense, and as already pointed out, it could lead to a lot of awesome scientific advancement as well. It'd just be interesting, and it may be ecologically good. So, say for example, if we introduced the thylacine to Tasmania and exterminated all the feral populations of animals as best we could, and created like the ecology that was very close to what it was pre-man. Or at least pre-European settlement, because it'd been 40,000 years of people being in Australia. It's hard to get before that.
People belong there pretty much in that ecosystem.
That's right. It's been so long. People have been here for so long. Australia's ecosystem has adapted to
European settlement / invasion, whatever you want to.
Yeah, the introduction of all these feral animals and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see a thylacoleo. Wouldn't that be awesome? To see like a marsupial lion getting around, these things with the pound for pound greatest bite force of any mammal. That used to basically, the way they'd hunt was they'd leap at megafauna things from below and bite their necks and rip their necks out in one massive bite, and then just feed them the carcass once they die in about.
That's a little bit scary.
But that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? But it wouldn't matter.
But having
them like having a lion,
having them in a zoo. Even if you're not reintroducing the thylacine, I want to reintroduce the thylacine. I want to reintroduce all kinds of marsupials back that have recently gone extinct, and recently extinct birds and whatever. But the further and further back you go, not only the harder it gets and the less likely it is to happen, but the less you know about what effect they had on ecosystems, and the weirder it might get. But again, I have no issue with bringing. I would bring a T-Rex back if we could put it in a zoo. Jurassic Park isn't going to happen. I'm afraid it's not going to go. Nature finds a way. It's not going to.
No. We won't be like the movies.
Really, come on.
I love one day people might make little sort of weird, freaky dino bird things by regressing them genetically to have dinosaur traits, but they'll never be dinosaurs. We'll never have T-Rexes pulled out of emus. It's just never be like that.
Well, and on the other hand, they are actually dinosaurs.
Yeah, birds are dinosaurs. Yeah, dinosaurs aren't extinct. We have avian dinosaurs. Yeah.
Avian dinosaurs, and they're the last. They're the remnants.
Just like mammals are the remnants of synapsids. It's
yeah.
It's just part of it. But yeah, I'm all for it. I think if it can be done with little impact, it should be done, and we'll see how it goes. I don't have an issue with it at all.
Yeah.
But
tell us what you think. Yeah. If you have a different argument, you think we're wrong, we're full of shit, let us know. Give us your
reasons.
A diatribe
Change
in
our
the
minds.
comments.
But it'd be hard to because it sounds freaking awesome. We love ancient megafauna, but
yeah, we're not going to listen to you.
No, we'll probably just ignore you.
We'll just disagree.
Yeah.
Any other issues there?
No, I think we covered it. I think it's pretty good.
Yep.
All right. Peace out.